How do you tell someone they can't do something? That is today's question. I'm calling this highway thoughts because I feel like it's the type of thought you have like going down the highway looking off into the distance, and also because I'm going to play Mario Kart while doing it. That way you have background footage and I have something to do with my hands as I process these thoughts. You might not be able to relate to that idea of highway thoughts, either because you live in a different country than the car-obsessed USA, or because you have music in your car. But somebody broke my car radio, so now I just sit in silence. This question comes up for a pretty specific reason. If you are watching this soon after, let's say specifically, oh, I can't do the math actually. Within like the first 4 months after this comes out, I think. It will be near the American 2024 election, which means we're voting for president, baby! Obviously, this is going to change a lot of important things, and the two current candidates are the same two we had in 2020. This is going to be a very one-sided of this. I don't want to get too political with this, even though I don't always like that statement, that like, oh, don't get political. I feel like that bars some good conversations from happening. But for the sake of this video, it doesn't matter. Long story short, current president, President Biden, by multiple accounts, doesn't seem to be doing too well. It mostly just seems like he's getting too old or suffering from too many age-related, what would you call that, ailments? To run, and people are concerned about how he's going to perform. Especially 4 years, because he's there. We elect him, he's in there for 4 years, so that kind of, yeah, like, it's not just going to be him now, it's him 4 years from now. And lots of people have been asking him to step down. And like, hey, let's get a new Democratic nominee, let's just pick somebody new. I'm sorry, Joe. No, 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 no! Yeah, so, the trot train will be frequently interrupted by blue shells. I personally am conflicted on how I feel about the whole situation in many ways, and that's kind of what I want to talk to. Just like the feeling behind that. Because I think that's the thing that scares me most about getting older is twofold. A, like not being able to just not being able to do certain things, to be able to like keep a stable mental track. Like I already struggle with that, but you know, whatever. Those sort of age-related ailments, as I called them. And then also not being able to tell that I'm underperforming. That's another big fear for me, is like not being able to, that part of my brain going and not being able to see, oh, I'm not what I used to be anymore. I think why is I don't like the idea of something being impossible at a certain point. Like, oh, there's just not enough time, you're just not ready, you're not the right suit for it. I always want to feel like I can do something if I just put in the hard work. But there does come a point, right, where you just can't anymore. And is that where our president is at? And then comes the flip side of that question. That was more about like, okay, how does that feel? But then how do you tell someone when you can just see like, oh, this is not good and I don't think it's gonna get better? It's such a scary thing to feel. How does it feel to be told it, and how do you put it in the right way? As for the president, I don't know if we should have like some clause that's like, hey, if you're over this age or if you're suffering from these things, you probably shouldn't be running the country. Personal opinion, I think we do often get pigeonholed into certain candidates just the way it goes. The saying goes, it's like, it often feels like we're voting against somebody rather than for somebody, and I feel like that's not what you want when choosing a world leader. You want someone who's going to represent you, not then just like, he's not the other guy. That's why I like him. Overall, I think the presidential thing, that's mostly just a segue into these thoughts, because I don't know what to do about that, man. I want to have like an idea, like a system that we could put into place, but like I'm just like, dang, this is weird. If you want to create a set of rules, what would it look like? How do you make sure it's good and isn't abused and yada yada yada? So I want to think about it though in kind of less extreme examples, because this is the president of the United States and it is aging, something that is pretty irreversible at this point, or is not going to change really. So I want to think about it in other scenarios, like what's a gymnast knee? Often to be a gymnast you need to be, I don't know, built a certain way, usually pretty short, because you know you're swinging off bars. If you got too long a build, it's just, I don't know. I'm somewhat tall, and I've tried doing a cartwheel before, and it's a long way to the ground for your hands. It can put a lot of pressure on them. So is there a limit to what you can do as a gymnast? Obviously, well, can you? I was gonna say you can just practice it on your own. Like maybe you're not gonna go to the Olympics, but who cares? Can you? I just said it hurts your hands if you're like going down from that height. Could you actually be injured and make it worse? I don't know. Again, that's more like a physical thing. That's sort of how you're born / how things pan out. So I was gonna say about more like traits and skills. How do you tell someone? I guess I come back to running things, like being a leader. How do you tell someone they're not quite fit for it? At least even, let's just say, for the time. I think that's especially hard conversation to have when it's a leader. Because it's like, look, this whole, what you've been running, all these people you have under you and have been affecting, it's not great. Which just, that's just a hard thing to say. And especially, again, it comes back to hearing that, like, oh, you're not doing great. Like, how do you... Just hearing that and feeling the weight of an effect that's been hidden from you for a while just hurts. What do I get scared of personally? I'm trying to think what I really want to say with this. I think the Mario Kart helps me like not just get completely absorbed in my thoughts, but sometimes it takes up more concentration than I like to admit. I think there's some easier conversations where it's just like, hey, you're not all the way there. I was thinking socially, like sometimes people aren't as great socially. Although usually they know, but sometimes you need to tell them, like, hey, you might dominate conversations, or you're not speaking up, or... I'm trying to think. Those feel easier in my head to have, but still not that easy. I think maybe it comes... One of my concerns with this whole conversation comes from my own sensitivity. Because I'm sure there's some people who look at the, I don't know, the presidential campaign, and they're like, get him out of there! For whatever reason. I'm sure there's some who are just like, I never liked him, and then others are like, no, he's got the age, and they don't care about, like, I'm thinking about his feelings. I'm sorry, Joe, to tell you this, but I don't know if you're ready, man, or if you're still up there, man. I think that's partly me, and I think part of it has come from maybe I don't want to say where our culture or society is at right now. I think there's a lot of judging things as they are, not as they could be. Sort of mentality. It's like a very, I guess things have gotten very extreme, or one way or the other. We want to put things in a camp of bad or good because, well, I'll get into the why we want to do that later, but it seems like that's how it goes. Like, it's like, oh, this person did the thing, it's bad, get out of here. A more difficult conversation is like, hey, it's been rough, this isn't great, but you can improve. It's easier to just diss something entirely. I think the reason we want to, put things in good or bad, or keep it very extreme one way or the other, is because there's so much to think about right now. The internet is so great, but it exposes you to so much that it's kind of hard to keep track of. And so because we're thinking about so much, it's much nicer and easier to just be able to catalog things away. Like, okay, this is bad, I don't have to think about it or update my opinions on it anymore. It's also, maybe there's something about like the way internet has changed how we interact with things, how it is really just like a like or a dislike. I don't know. I don't think I fully understand it, so I don't want to get into it too deeply. Alright, let's put that aside for now. That's the way things sort of are. What makes the idea difficult? Yeah, how do you tell? I think I often get trapped in trying to check for these things, like when I'm not great at something. So I'm constantly just like, I guess putting myself down, like, oh no, I'm probably not that good at this or that, or like, you see this tiny example, that means I'm not good at this. It's very simple, and it does no good, because I'm just saying, like, I'm just looking for, like, problems, going like, oh, there's one, I found it, but I'm not thinking about, it's not like this thinking extends to, like, okay, so I'm bad how? How do I fix it? How does it get better? And so I think, and I'm sure a lot of people have this as well, that leads to just like a negative self-perception where you're like, you're always looking for ways to doubt yourself rather than giving yourself the chance to experience and improve. So I want to avoid that when I say like having these checking in or trying to make sure you're on top of this when you're not qualified for something. I think frankly, it's probably other people is your best bet. Except that makes so much intuitive sense, I hate it. I'm like trying to think of something else. Like, of course having advisors are important, but what do you do when you can't hear them? When people are telling you, hey, you're not great, but you feel like, no, it's good. I just need time, I just need this, it's not that big a worry, you guys are overreacting. what do you do then? Both from the receiving side and from the telling side. How do you finally get it across to someone? How do you finally get it across to yourself? Again, I don't want any other people to have crippling like self-doubt. I'm sure it's case by case, right? You have to find how you can best deliver it to somebody. Or do you have to... That's another thing. I am always looking for a solution that's like nice and chill and like, okay, let's be diplomatic. Let's talk you through why you want to quit. I think I'm always looking to change things. When in reality, you can't change someone's age. Or other stuff. Well, I don't even... Again, there's so much you can change that, like, pointing out the stuff you can't just feels rude. So what do you do when someone isn't being reasonable about their abilities? Do you force them out? How do you create that clause? How do you go about that? I think some people can very easily think of ways to do that. They're just like, nah, you just gotta get them out. And they'll probably get more done than I will. Whoa, I didn't know that path existed. Do we need to be more forceful? Do we need to take it less personally? When something kicks you out, do you need to just be like, okay, fair enough. I was trying to go into this thinking like, okay, I'm gonna sort of talk about like the systemic beliefs, or like what's like a loose guiding way that anyone can follow, and I ended up just questioning my own. I'm like, am I dumb? Am I like too attached to certain ideals? Like the ideal of making everything like just slightly sweet. Oh, you don't. We do kind of need you to step down, but you know, it's like we want you to know we love you, and it's like, sometimes things do just give you a hard time, and maybe I lean into that too much. Like, we can change it; it'll get better. Even though I'm very bad about changing things, I have to keep coming back to ideas because otherwise I'll just keep getting distracted. So. What do you do when you have to tell someone they can't do something? What do you do for yourself? Maybe I'll change it that way. Because the thing I started with was too, like, I don't know, impersonal, but also personal. It's just an event out in the world. It's really nothing... Our voices can do something about it, but not everything. At the end of the day, it comes down to other people. So how do you do that in yourself? I think there are, as much as it pains me to admit it, scenarios you probably shouldn't get yourself into, because you're not ready for them. If I phrase it as like, oh, don't go climb Mount Everest if you've never even climbed a mountain before, because that's, because that just makes sense. But it's trickier when it comes to like mental capabilities and pitfalls. Life is pretty long. I don't want to say it's not infinite, but you've got a while. You've got time to do things. And I think that almost creates a trap for me. Because I love starting new things, inventing new reasons to be excited or things to be a part of. I want to do a lot, and I don't often think about the actual possibility of it. Like, maybe I can do 3 things, but 8? That's a lot. And it's hard because time is, time. It's hard to put it into an actual thought, like how much you have, how much you can utilize, yada yada. You don't ever know what's gonna happen. And so I often have a mentality of just like, I'll figure it out when it comes to all the things I want to do. Like one day I'll have time, or better structure, or better focus. And I think in a way that gives me the ability to, just tackle things at random. But also, it is probably not healthy. Because I'm just thinking, oh, I have time. Eventually, though, you do run out, and let's say you have a year left. That feels more tangible. There comes a point where you can't do certain things. If you want to, in the very simplest terms, if you want to practice a language for 2 years, sorry. But it's so much harder to look at that now and be like, I have what? Let's say 80 years left. That's very optimistic, by the way. That's more... Well, I mean, who knows? By the time technology improves and whatnot. Let's say I have 80 years. That's like forbidding early cancer, car crash, any of that. Let's say I have 80 years. How much can I get done in that time? What do I care to get done? At one point, do I have to tell myself, I can't do this anymore? I feel like I'm more scared of that moment, the death of it, I guess, than anything else. The moment of like, okay, you can't do it. Afterward, it's like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'll have a good cry, and it's like, fine. Like, people lose things all the time, and that's like, it's okay. So why does that moment in particular feel so scary? The being told, or having to tell yourself, hey, it's over. It's not gonna work. Starting to wonder, I was like, this is a widely applicable problem for everyone to think about in the current age, especially with the current events. Maybe it's just a me problem. Maybe I'm just worried about this. No, alright, let's do like a me thinking pause break. What do you think about this? How do you cope with that kind of feeling of like, oh, maybe it isn't possible? Have you ever had to tell someone? Have you ever had to admit it to yourself? What did that feel like? Right below in the highly volatile YouTube comment section. Feels like a hole with no bottom. To me, at least. I think I'm missing something. Or I'm avoiding something. No, not fair, not here. Wait. No. I wanted to rage quit, but it became too late. I'm slowly trying to work to like the bottom of this insecurity or whatever it is behind this question. Maybe I'm thinking about it with YouTube. That might be a thing. Because I always felt like I had a deadline with YouTube earlier. I was like, oh, if I don't make this super successful by the time I graduate high school, I'm gonna be lost and confused in my, like, 20s. It's gonna be the end. And you know what? I was right, sort of. I am lost and confused. But it's definitely not the end. Like, there's a whole bunch of possibility space outside of this, I don't know, that very nary sliver of, oh, I need to do YouTube and only YouTube. I think I do fear that, like, day of reckoning within myself of, like, can I not? Maybe, is there a point in which I say, like, oh, I can't do it. I don't think this is gonna work. Because it's such a, like, a specific requirement. But, so I want to put it more generally, where it's like, this could never be a full-time job for me. And it would be because of a skill deficit in myself. I simply do not have the focus, the, like, I guess you could call it the drive. I always felt like I had the drive, but, you know, I don't know. I've felt worn down lately as in, like, the last 4 years. But there's something that just doesn't make it possible. What do I do then? Well, the question is, there's lots of things that interest me. I'll find something else. But it still feels icky. I think I'd be fine on the other hump if you told me, hey, it's really not gonna work, I'm sorry, you gotta stop. Then I'd be like, okay, I gotta stop. Because that's another absolute. That's easy. I could just be like, okay, I can't do it. Alright, I can't do it. Oh, no. And then move on. Once I get over that hump, it's like, okay, let's figure something else out. I can devote, yeah, man, I just want to devote all my attention to it. I want to be able to pursue this highly, not risky endeavor, but highly volatile job, life, whatever you want to call it. And I want to sustain it, and I don't want to think about everything that comes with it. Not even whether I'll want to do it. I think it probably is problematic thinking. Being like, oh, it's all or nothing. I either have to be able to give this all my focus, or else I'm not going to make it, or it isn't worth it, or it doesn't feel right. I'm worried like, oh, I just can't do it. When in reality, it's like, well, it's not that simple, is it? This is just a simple little goofy job. It does bring the question of the job of president into the mix, because at some point you do have to, like, a YouTuber can be anything. Like, it's a very, again, I'm going to call it just a silly job. But, like, president of the United States, you need something there. I don't know what it is. I don't know how you enforce it. I don't know how you still make it democratic if you're going to put a whole bunch of, like, okay, we should have this, this, and this in place. But I feel like I'm stuck in an impasse. And that may just because it's, like, a philosophical question. Like, oh, no, it's just, like, I don't know. It's just an impossible thought that's in the eye of the beholder. Maybe it is. I think I am trying to look for, like, an all-in-one applicable solution. Here to solve your existential dread forever. I feel like there should be a bottom for me, though. Like, I should be able to say, hey, this is what helps me sleep at night. But I'm not coming up with anything. I think I need to be less worried about the specifics of it. It's all focused on that moment. Like, not the before, where, like, I don't know, you're not doing a great job. And not the after, where you look for a different job. It's like that, oh, being told. Like, just specifically, which is kind of dumb. That's, like, the easiest part. So I think I need to be less worried about the specifics and the drama of it. It doesn't matter if it's like, yeah, I can't take it so personally. Oh, no. But there's always the... I was gonna say, no, you just don't be worried about the specifics. Lightly look and consult other people when you want to see if you're doing an actual good job. And then go from there. If it really isn't great, stop. But not every piece of opinion you will take in is great for you. Not everyone is gonna be like, I don't want to say honest, because it's usually gonna come from the heart. But the heart can have a different perspective, or someone else's heart may have a different perspective than you. They may view it differently, they may not know. There's so many success stories where it's like, everyone told me I couldn't do it, and then I did it. And I think that's what I'm getting tripped up on now. Like, well, how much can be tracked up to, like, just improving? Obviously, you can be born a certain way that makes you more likely or easier, or you pick things up faster for certain areas of skill. And you can be born with plenty of disadvantages as well. So obviously... Oh, and then there's the other thing where it's like... Sometimes having a disadvantage or a unique perspective is exactly what makes you so good at something. You're like, I am approaching it differently. I'm not going to follow the rules, and that's going to bring a change to the game. I think I'm too worried about the specifics. I'm like, oh... exactly at what moment should I give up on my dreams? It's not even that easy. I did give up on this dream once before, and I need to remember that. I gave up for good reasons. I spent a while away, and then I was like, nah, I'm coming back. I wish I had advice to give, though. I wish I could just tell people, like, hey, here's how to not worry about it so much. Because I am worried about it so much. I can outrun the blue shell! I can outrun the blue shell! Woo! That was fun. On the topic of things being one way or the other, it feels like we're often told either you need to do this exactly, or else it's not going to work out, or we're told, you know what? It's a flexible world. You're a flexible, cool human being. You'll be fine, no matter what you do. Oh, wow, that's fun. I've never done that before. But nah, like, it's not, again, some disciplines take certain things, certain jobs take certain things, and the standard of, like, what is changeable is changing every day. I love technology, and I don't want to say it scares me, but sometimes it scares me. It's like, alright, I've got to think about some completely new way of doing things. Like with AI, I'm not scared of it taking people's jobs. I think in general it's going to be good. It's going to automate a lot of boring things and maybe assist in some creative things. But what I am afraid of is learning another way to do things. So like, I've barely learned how to draw with just like a pencil and paper. And now suddenly there's a way AI could help me with it. It's like, oh god. Are we just overwhelmed? Is that why I'm asking this question? Do we just not have enough time to think? Because if we did, would we be able to see this better? Like, oh, you know, okay. I'm not doing great. Here's where I could improve. I still am worried about all those things, like growing older or getting early onset dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever it is. I think about sleep as well. Because that just, like, not getting enough sleep reduces all your, I don't know, mental faculties, and it just sucks too. I don't get great sleep, but then also, here's a wrinkle on it. You don't know how much sleep you're getting. Some people need more, some people have less. Some people have sleep conditions, and they don't even know about it. I wonder if I have sleep apnea sometimes. Don't know until I, you know... Wow, that was a long way to fall. Don't know until I can get it checked out, and you know, healthcare in America. But then, oh my god, I heard like a term the other, I don't know when, about like short sleepers, and it's like people who only have to sleep 4 to 5 hours. And then there's also like, if you sleep longer than you need to, it can it can feel worse. It can feel like you're more tired, and it's like, so I either need to sleep between 7, 8, and like 3 and 12 hours. And it's like, man, I wish it was just... Can one thing be simple? Can I not have to worry about, like, if this one thing is affecting my life in some way? I think, again, it's a me problem. I need to be less anxious or something. Obviously, you can still do things with restrictions on you. I don't need to make sure... Maybe my sleep. Maybe I should make sure my sleep is good. But, like, other things. Like, I don't need to make sure I'm in tip-top condition or I'm following every best tip out there. To just enjoy and learn and live a good life. So what's the answer to that question then? How do you tell if you can't do something? How do you tell someone else if they can't do something? Is that it doesn't really matter. God, is this just a review for nihilism? Whatever, I'll run with it. Maybe it really doesn't matter. If you can't do a job, There's more. There's other ways to help. At some point, you gotta retire, and then, I don't know, you just enjoy the rest of your life. There are plenty of things to be worried about, and there are plenty of things to be enjoyed. You know what? Alright, I'm gonna spin it on its head. Nihilism is not the answer. Things do matter. And you know why they matter? Other people. People are cool, they are fun, you can have positive effects on their lives, and they can have positive effects on theirs. Go seek the advice of other people. When you're stuck in a hole, likely sitting in that hole that your brain has created for you isn't gonna help the most. You need an outside perspective. So when you're not sure you can do something, go ask somebody. Go ask some people. That's cool. God, I'm struggling. No! No! Dude, I was in first! Oh well, it doesn't matter, does it? But okay, I like that answer better. Sort of. I'm still kind of mad. I get so scared about, like, I don't know. I was gonna say doctor's visits, or like making sure that I'm on top of things. Like, okay, I'm all checked out. I don't have anything holding me back. What if I do have sleep apnea and I'm not getting good sleep? That's affecting every day. That's ruining my YouTube career. Oh, there we go. Now it sounds silly. Now it really sounds like nothing matters if I put it that way. But there are like 100 things that could be affecting you, and you can still live in the moment right now and not have them there. So the solution is, I guess for me, be less anxious. And the one solution I'll present is just seek other voices. That's what we need to do more now. There's a lot of just like shouty voices out on the internet and in the world today. It feels like, anyway. Lots of like one-sided takes. I don't know why. Because we're attracted to that, like moths to a flame, whatever. It doesn't matter why they're there right now or what's causing it. That's just kind of how it is. And we need, I don't know, we need personal connections. Where we can hear someone's advice, know their history, and be like, okay, this is what I can take and apply from your story. Oh man, I hate this because I sound like a, I don't know, like a counselor or whatever. It just sounds generic or something. It doesn't sound, I don't know, revolutionary at all. Go talk to people. They're cool. Like, oh, really? That's your advice? Yeah, sure. But that's exactly the pitfall I'm trying to avoid. I don't need something revolutionary, like one of those giant voices that shouts from the rooftop. If you do this, you're good. I mean, I am saying that. I'm saying if you go talk to people, you're probably good. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of what being a human is. That's useful, just being human. Self-reflection, too, if you haven't tried that. Okay, but whatever. I can't get caught up in it. Thank you for listening to this. Hopefully it made sense, I guess. If you have anything you want to contribute or thoughts about this or your own worries, I would love to hear them. I guess I'll just say, please keep the comment section chill. I don't know. I've long thought of like ways to moderate comment sections to make them better. I don't know. So be cool. I don't know. Yeah, no, if you have thoughts to contribute, do that. Go see a friend after this if you've been on the internet for a while. And you know what? Just vibe out. Life does not need to be optimized or productivitized. It's okay. I like playing Mario Kart. I sat down and talked and played Mario Kart. I like to talk and like to think about things. That was enjoyable. Well, before I draw on for too long, thank you for watching. And, look around today. That's what I'll say. Look outside. Good luck.